Yes guys, what is up? Welcome to the SOL YouTube channel. I hope you're having the best day possible given what is going on in the world right now. But it has snowed in the United Kingdom, which makes it look very pretty, but also ruined my intro to this car. More on that in a little bit, but I got a call from Stuart at SB Race Engineering to say that their 2021 race car has been delivered. So I'm going to head up, check it out, and I do believe it is the first customer car in the world. So it's a very unique and special car. This is the first car that I'm actually going to get up close and personal with. But this car is the car that I'm going to be driving up to SB. It is a all-new Peugeot 508 GT, top spec around £40,000, so definitely going up against the German competitors like Audi, Mercedes and BMW. Over the next 6 months, you're going to be seeing a lot more of this car, probably from this angle, because it's my favourite angle. For whatever reason, I don't know, because I've not had the car long enough, I can't quite gel with this front end. I much prefer the rear. I think it needs a D-chrome. Either way, this is where the car excels in terms of looks. The rear end just looks so cool. I'm a massive fan of the 208 and the E208. I think Peugeot are nailing the design at the moment. I'm really looking forward to putting miles on this car because it's going to be so comfy. And actually, the party piece of this car is the interior. This is why I'm so excited to spend so much time in this car. The interior is so important to cars because you spend all of your time here. And this is so futuristic and modern, better than any interior of cars that I've owned previously. And actually, I think it's better than the Audis, the BMWs and the Mercedes. It is super, super cool. And with Peugeot's 508 Sport Engineered coming, which is a hybrid high performance version of this car, this is going to be a pretty good starting place to get an idea of just how good that car is going to be. But this is nicer than my flat. Genuinely, nicer than my flat. Now, if you remember, the last time I was filming myself leave SB Race Engineering, there was a very pleasant gentleman that pulled up alongside me and said he was the owner of this 360 Spider. This is the exhaust system, a Challenge Stradale exhaust system on a 360 Spider. Sounds so good. We have made it to SB Race Engineering. This ridiculously loud 360 Spider is now up on the ramp, which reveals the 2021 Brabham BT62 that is going to be running in the 2021 race series with SB Race Engineering. I will get Stuart out so that we can talk about the car and exactly where we might be able to see it if all of these global restrictions start to ease and we're allowed back at motorsport races. This is where we're going to be able to see the car racing, and I have to say, to see it in this environment, obviously we've seen it at Goodwood Festival Speed. Brabham transported their press car, the first car that was ever built, around the world to all of these global events, and this is the first customer car. It is as close to an all-Australian supercar for the track. There is so much information I need to learn about this car, but fundamentally it's around 700 PS, weighs about 970 kilograms dry weight, about 1,000 kilos when you've got all of the liquids in, and it has got 1,200 kilos of downforce. Finally, now we have one expert in the video, or someone that knows a little bit more about me than the car.
Marginally, yeah.
So Stuart, you've taken delivery of this when? A couple of weeks ago?
It's been we've had a car about a month now. We were supposed to get it last year, obviously, to race.
Yeah.
Obviously, due to COVID, the car turned up very, very late, with some bits that came later from Brabham because obviously they couldn't get stuff supplied because of everything else that went on in the world.
Yeah.
And obviously we raced our 488 again. last season because
which was successful.
Yeah. Look, we won the class championship. We won the championship the year before with it. We can't not retire it because it's not an old car, but we were kind of hoping to do something else.
Yeah.
And Paul, our driver, was hoping to get this out this year, which hopefully we will. Fingers crossed.
So this is going to race in the same category class. How does it fit in the race series?
Yeah, I mean the car is racing in the GTO class in GT Cup now, which is a different race championship to we did last year. We raced in GT Cup with the 458 as well in 2017 and our 488. It's because it's not homologated like some of the other cars that are on the market, either GT3 cars or challenge cars or anything else. It's built as an out-and-out track day weapon, which it is. I mean, the specs on the car. It's absolutely immense compared to stuff, like GT3 cars.
But you were saying that GT3 cars homologation weight is 1,300 kilos.
It's around 1,300. I can't remember. It's around 1,300.
And this is what, 1,000?
It's about 1,000 with with everything in it. I think dry weight. It's quite a few less, quite a few hundred less. And then couple that with nearly 700 odd or 700 horsepower. So
it's not
loads of downforce.
Car.
No, I mean, personally, I'd kind of describe it a bit of a mix between a GT3 and a prototype. The amount of aero that it's got on it, you wouldn't get this much aero. If you put this much aero on a GT3 car, you'd probably get maybe somewhere near the cornering forces and performance that this car's got.
Christ, it looks a monster. And when I look at all of the details, there's so much that's gone into this car from an engineering point of view, and it's all kind
massively
of Australian, but there's so much carbon exposed. But you're saying it's not a carbon...
It's not a carbon monocoque. No, strangely, a lot of people have, I've seen on the internet, when the car came out, and people that contacted us last year, sort of curious to know about the car. It's a space frame chassis, which you don't see much of these days, but if you see what Brabham have done and how they've made the space frame chassis and the rigidity and everything else, and look at the weight they've got with it. So they've done a good job. A lot of people would argue it's probably older tech compared to the other cars, but if you look at GT3 cars these days, they're based on road-going cars.
You can convert these into a road legal version in the UK, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
This obviously hasn't had that conversion yet.
It is in the pipeline, I think, for this car at some point. It depends what the owner wants to do with it. It's the only one in Europe.
There's only one other car, right, in Australia, which was the original
car, which I believe, speaking to David recently, that they've sold to a big client in Australia who wanted to have that car, because that car, when Brabham raced it, so that was the first car to Brabham to ever race, BT62. And it won one of its races in that weekend, and that customer said, look, I want to use that car. David Brabham was driving it, a Brabham on the Brabham, straight brands. From a history point of view, what a car to have.
So at the end of tracking it, at the end of competing in it, it could be converted into a road car and then being cruising around in the British B roads.
That is the owner's idea, I think, in his collection of cars, which
is quite extensive.
Is extensive, what a thing to have.
Yeah, exactly.
What a thing to have.
I mean, when you have the LaFerraris, the 918s, and you've got everything that you want, having something like this, I will remember when Jeremy Clarkson said it about the Zenvo. Do you remember that Denmark Hypercar? He was like, this is the car for when you've got everything. And this is another...
It's getting there, isn't it? And from the owner's point of view now as well, he's going to have a racing experience with the car. And then one day... going out with his wife in it, so what a thing to do.
Do I need to lift up this one?
You have to grab that.
Oh man, this is the most expensive thing I've held today. Don't drop it. It's light. There we go.
That's alright. It's quite nice actually. It's got no painted areas. You've just got the car with wheel arches it sits on. It's quite handy.
Look at this monster. Now this is why, when I was talking to Carl Hartley about his Pagani Huayra and he was able to open up the back and you can see everything working, it is an absolute masterpiece. You could just stare at this for hours. 5.4 litre V8, monstrous thing. And look at that exhaust system. Look at this. Yes. This is I mean, the size of it. This is.
And you can see here, obviously, where the air comes directly into the engine. You know, all the aero that, you know.
I mean, that is aero working at its finest, going straight in. Yeah, I mean, you're going to have a lot of fun with this.
It'll be good, yeah. I mean, we're relaying a lot of things back to Brabham that we found that we think we'll have to change for a racing application. You know, like I say, you remember this car was done as a track day car.
Yeah.
So obviously you'd have to have people running the car there. Obviously, this is going to do longer races, longer bits and pieces. You know, just additions and things that, you know, we're going to have to make to do that.
Yeah, I mean, when you start exposing the car, there is a lot of that going on in the States with road cars, with rear bumper deletes on Hurricanes and exposing all of the mechanics as it works, and to see the race car like this, what a weapon. Well, there we go. That is a first look at the Brabham BT62. It doesn't even roll off my tongue that much. But it is so cool, and to be in the company of all of these other cars that we are so familiar with seeing at SB Race Engineering, to have that, it's a little bit of a special piece. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this and found it interesting, and I cannot wait to see this out on the track. And I'm going to be doing everything I can to persuade the owner to put it on the road. Because, I mean, imagine that. Take the stickers off, have it sat in black, and you have got an absolute Batmobile. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you soon. Take care. Goodbye.